Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Goodman, and I'm the Director of Community Relations in JNF UK. As part of the series of Voices from Israel, we are privileged tonight to have with us Nimrod Palmach, a combat reserve officer who on the morning of the 7th of October left his home in Jerusalem and raced down south to the aid of the communities which had been infiltrated by Hamas. Before we hear from Nimrod himself, I'd like to give you a little bit of his background. Nimrod Palmach is the incoming CEO of Israel Is, an organization dedicated to improving global perceptions of Israel. As an educator and social entrepreneur, Nimrod has established and managed a number of leadership programs and holds a master's degree in diplomacy and security from Tel Aviv University. Nimrod, shalom, and thank you for making time to be with us this evening.
Shalom, everyone. Good evening.
Your association, Nimrod, with JNF UK goes back quite a number of years. In 2014, we supported you in developing a leadership program on one of the same kibbutzim which was left devastated following the terrorist attack of the 7th October. Nimrod, what drove you to create a leadership program in the south of Israel?
Thank you very much for this question. And right after Protective Edge, it was a tough summer back then of 2014, where all of Israel suffered from the kidnap of the young 3 boys, but right away we entered Gaza to stop the strategic weapon of Hamas back then, which was the tunnels. So the communities along the border in Gaza suddenly on that summer realized that Hamas, Palestinian Hamas, don't just threaten us with rockets from the air, but also is digging tunnels in order to do a massacre against people. By the way, back then, most of the people that we came to visit us didn't believe us that this is the motivation of Hamas, and what eventually led to many families to leave, to abandon this kibbutzim, these communities. And a bunch of friends and myself, we realized immediately that this is a time to take action. This is a time to build the new form of Zionism and to train young leadership to take responsibility of challenges that surrounds us in the government. So that's what we did. We created these leadership programs in order to strengthen the communities and answer a crucial challenge for the government and for the state of Israel.
Wow. How many people participated in this initiative?
So in each academy like this, in each class, we are talking about approximately 40 students. All of them are between the age of 18 to 19. Super idealistic, passionate, Zionist, full of energy. And this is exactly what you want when you want to revive a community, when you want to uplift spirits among people. You want to set example, and that's what we did. We brought this amazing, optimistic bunch of kids, and with them together, we revived the communities.
And can I just ask, is one of the goals that they take back this energy to their own communities, or is it that they stay there and help build a community?
So I can say it's both, but mainly it's focusing on the hub that we are creating, meaning that not only we are empowering this youth and helping them realize the core essence about them, what's unique about them, and how to grow better as civilians and as individuals. We also wanted them to implement what they are learning on kibbutz Nachal Oz. So for example, we are talking about wake up in the morning, go to the grocery store and go buy milk. This is Zionism, because it's a place where no one want to live. And it's a place where eventually, after you will live there, people will follow you. So just by waking up in the morning and buying milk, this is Zionism.
Fantastic. You're a social entrepreneur. You've been involved in many initiatives. Are there other initiatives that you feel the listeners tonight would be particularly interested to hear about?
Listen, I think what we have done there on the Gaza envelope, it was not just Kibbutz Nachal Oz. After the success of Nachal Oz, due to the amazing support of JNF UK that helped us and realized with us the vision and what could we achieve. And I was really fortunate to have partners like that, like the team that's probably here on the Zoom. We managed to go to other communities on the border and build more. And suddenly more communities ask for, come do this, the very same things. So we did. But eventually we pushed the government too much, meaning that we ran too fast and we couldn't establish more. So eventually I ended up establish a similar program, but for high school kids. We realized this is a huge success. People want to grow, people want to learn, people wanted, when I say people, I'm talking about youngsters in Israel. And ultimately, I went up and established a new leadership program on the same methodology, but for younger kids from the age of 16, 17, 18, all through high school. And that was one of the greatest achievements that I took part in building. And also, by the way, in this, JNF UK were the first one to realize the dream and the vision. And they helped us. So you guys helped us with buying like full equipment for navigating all of Israel, to hike Israel. We bought these trailers that we could have go and hike all over Israel with these different groups of leadership. And on these trailers, you would have seen the logo of JNF UK as supporter of this program. So this is also amazing.
The way you speak about it, it sounds beautiful. And I can just add, young people need young role models. So doing a really important job. I'd like to take you, Nimrod, with your permission, to go back to the morning of the 7th of October, a date that we will never forget. Can you just share with us your own experiences of that day?
Yeah, I will try to go as quick as I can, but ultimately I woke up really early on that morning, not realizing there is a war coming. And I'm getting a phone call from my commander telling me that our unit is being deployed in Jerusalem. Hamas had fired rockets into Israel. So off I go. I spent Shabbat and the holiday at some friend's place near Kfar Saba. So I sneak outside their house without not waking anyone up. And I even left without my shoes on my legs. I was so convinced that I'm coming back the very same day to spend Simchat Torah. This is nothing probably. On the way to Jerusalem, I started to get different videos and understanding something is happening. And I actually called my commander and tell him, listen, I think we need to go to the Gaza envelope. Something is off. I used to live there. And from the videos that I've seen, I realized something is not good. He said no. That and by the way, I don't blame him. We didn't have any understanding of what's happening, of course. Ultimately, I drove to Jerusalem. I got here around 5 minutes to 8. And from that moment, I changed my clothes really fast on the street. Then I've seen another video and I realized, okay, something is really, really off. I decided to jump into my car and started to drive south. I defy an order. My commander called me, demanded me to come back to Jerusalem. I said no. I told him, by the way, I know that you are right, 89%, and I'm wrong, but still I have to go. On the way south, I received a very interesting phone call from my ex-wife telling me that her boyfriend, who lives in Kibbutz Nir Oz, is in his safe room with his 2 daughters, and Hamas terrorists outside his home, outside his door, like at his house. And they are shooting at the door and they are throwing grenades and the army is not there. And it's already 2 hours since the beginning of the attack. And she was really afraid and he was afraid. At that moment, I realized what's going on. I told her that I'm on my way to him and I drove. I hit the gas, I drove really fast. On the way, I scheduled to meet a friend that will join me. Both of us have only pistols, only handguns. And I scheduled to meet him in the city of Netivot, right outside the city, at the main junction. And I got there 3 minutes before him. I had some time. And in this time, I had to do the most hardest thing in my life. which was to say a farewell movie, like a clip for my kids. I knew that in my heart that I'm about to die. It will be minutes, it will be hours, but today I'm gonna be dead. So I left the movie. I recorded myself on my iPhone, basically saying goodbye, that I will love them, that I will always be proud of them. That's it. And I hung the phone. And from then on, I managed to move and to cross 3 checkposts that basically tried to stop me to get into the Gaza Strip. And I got there. I managed to get there. I fought throughout the first half of the day outside of Kibbutz Alumim with another Special Forces unit. I have witnessed, first of all, I took a gun from a dead soldier right by the moment that we stuck by Hamas ambush. I jumped outside the car and I've seen so many dead bodies around me, women, men, children, and soldiers. I grabbed one of the weapons and I started to engage fight. In the next 3 hours, I will fight against something like 30 Hamas terrorists that are trying to enter Kibbutz Alumim and to do a massacre over there, to do a second Be'eri. We know because we found instructions on their bodies of what to do, where to go. They had maps. They were really, really prepared to a level of how many women you're allowed to rape and how many to take to Gaza with you. What to do with the body of a dead soldier. This is really, really tough understandings. We fought from very close ranges. We were outgunned, outnumbered. But again, eventually, no one of these terrorists managed to enter the kibbutz, and no Israeli died on Kibbutz Alumim. We finished that fight, and from then on, we moved to Kibbutz Be'eri. Kibbutz Be'eri, it was another Holocaust in my eyes. What I have witnessed over there, what I've smelled, listened, experienced, even the way to Kibbutz Be'eri from Alumim on the highway, you could have seen dozens of cars half burned with dead bodies inside, outside. All of them are civilians. A lot of them are young people or families. Why families? These are families when Hamas launched its rockets attack. They immediately said, we are not staying here. They packed up their kids on the car and decided to drive to their parents outside the Gaza envelope or something like that. And they were caught on the way by Hamas ambush. And why young people? Because there were thousands of people that fled the party. Young people, still dressed like they were in the party. And we witnessed all their bodies. The situation with the women was awful. I will spare with you the graphic for my noble friends here. And off we go to Be'eri. We entered Be'eri. We were one of the first responders to actually get in. There were different units in the site from the morning, but as an actual force. And from Be'eri, you had to, what the army did, we had to go from one house to another. This is a picture from Be'eri. And it's like a tornado went by. It's you almost can't believe that human beings can create such a damage in such a short time. And in Be'eri, you have to go from one place to another and to make sure there are no more terrorists left, saving civilians, running with them outside, taking them outside, and witnessing the terror, the situation that the houses were. Everything was still on fire. This is me, by the way, a week after I got back and the witness, and I walked through the same places that I walked during the fight. And this is me during. And I was fighting in Be'eri right about midnight, or maybe even more. I finished there the fight. We almost finished clearing the kibbutz, and then I went to Jerusalem to draft my unit and join them to what we know now is one of the most important and justified war we have never ever had. I want to tell you one more thing, that while I was there, I realized two important things. Number one is I had a glimpse, a look into the future of what is the end of the Jewish world, of the Jewish people, without an autonomy and without an army. For a few hours, we didn't have these two in those communities, and this is the result. And that made me make another promise, never again, that we have to stay united, we have to be very, very strong, to believe in ourselves, and to trust ourselves first and foremost, and not letting anything like that happen to us again. The second thing I realized is no more bullshit. It's good or bad. This is a jihad war against us, by the way, not us here in Israel. Us, Western civilization, a civilization that believes in values like democracy, human rights, empathy, and love, versus Islamic jihadists that cherish death and destruction. This is it. And I realized that from tomorrow morning, October 8th, I will have to go around the world and to share my story and to fight with people that are still accusing Israel. I just came back from Australia, and a pro-Palestinian demonstration was actually taking place on the stairs of the Opera House, the famous Opera House, on October 8th, shouted, "Gas the Jews." Gas the Jews on October 8th, while we are doing nothing in Gaza. We are just collecting our dead and licking our wounds. So that's were few things from my day, and I'll be happy to answer more of your questions.
Wow. And more difficult to respond. You know, we've read about it, we even see it, but we've not heard about it firsthand the way you've spoken about it. I do have a question though. How do you manage to keep yourself together, having experienced what you experienced? How has this affected you personally?
I have to tell you that it made me stronger and more resilient. And even for the fact that my heart is bleeding now, with the atrocities that I had to see and to witness, I'm still very optimistic. And that's what's making me drive and go and keep on going. From Sunday, I will redraft the army for 2 more months, which I find it really important, even though the prices is really high. Not being with my family, work, this thing that I love to do. But this is what keeps me moving. And a part of me wants to never forget what I've witnessed.
I can only say you're representing Israel in an incredible way, because you talk about resilience and optimism in the face of enormous challenges. Can I just clarify something, Nimrod? You, if I'm correct, what is your rank?
A major.
Exactly, because I found it interesting before when you said your commander told you, because obviously as a major, you have a significant responsibility as an officer, regardless. Okay, I'm going to move. Very difficult to move on, Nimrod. In fact, I won't be moving on, but I do have a question that I think only somebody like yourself can answer. Is you've spent many years as a social entrepreneur, changing communities from within. How do you see the communities now down south rebuilding themselves, and what do you see as their future?
Number one, I think their future is really first and foremost depends on the leadership that we will have here. And I wish that our leadership will be strong, will aim for more united and not polarized society, and will give the people down south the opportunity to come back and rebuild their communities. Everyone here is focused. It's really easy for us to bring new blood, new people, new life into the Gaza envelope. But ultimately, we want the people that used to live there to be able to come back to their homes. In order for that to happen, we need to strike Hamas abilities to a point they are not longer exist. We all know we cannot finish Hamas's ideology. But their ability to harm Jews, this has to go away from this world. And again, this is not just for us. Today it's in Israel. Tomorrow it's in the back garden of London or wherever in England.
A final question, Nimrod, before we take questions from people who are listening. As a leader, how does Israel recover from this incredibly difficult and challenging time?
Again, also here, I think the answer relies on leadership, because the people are really together now. The people are motivated. People are sacrificing lives, relationships, businesses, work of life. People are sacrificing almost everything. And also here, it's a big question of our leadership. Will our leadership know how to navigate us to a place where we no longer have a sword on our throats? Because as if for now, we still do in the north and in other places in Israel. A leadership that collect all its energy in order to bring us together and not separately. And this is where I want to invest my time. This is where I want to invest my energy on rebuild and not taking apart anymore.
Well, I'm responding to what you just said, not having asked anybody in authority in JNF, but we're going to be there to help, whatever you have to do. I'm just interested because are there other people like yourself? Do you have other people whom you share your beliefs with, whom you are sort of forming an ideology? I'm not talking about a political party. I'm saying that, you know, I'm hoping you're not a one-man band and there are other people who share the same feelings and thoughts and aspirations as you.
Definitely. There is a whole army of young people that are full of motivation to impact Israel and the Jewish people. By the way, not just in Israel. I'm just coming back from a trip. I've been to Germany, I've been to the UK, I've been to Australia, and I've witnessed there really strong, vibrant Zionist communities that has a passion for the state of Israel, had a passion for the Jewish people. And you know, my commander before, when they rotated us and they gave us a vacation, I told him that I'm flying now for 2 weeks abroad to impact communities. And he told me, no, please stay here. We need you to rest because soon we'll get back. I told him, listen, you don't understand. I'm gonna come back much stronger. After you will meet these vibrant communities in London and in Australia, in Sydney, Australia, and Melbourne, and other places, you'll realize the phenomenon of the Jewish people. So yes, we are a lot. We are talking, we are connecting, and I'm really optimistic about the future of Israel and definitely our young leadership.
That's a fabulous thought on which to say. Are there questions from our listeners? Okay, so we got one question has come up. Okay. So the question is, what did your commander say when you returned? You had disobeyed an order, Nimrod. You know, what was his response? I'm not going to continue because I'm not going to tell you what the question said, but what was his response when you came back?
So throughout the day, he kept texting me and calling me, and I think he didn't realize what's going on south. When I got back, we talked. He was still upset. Again, I still don't think he realized what happened throughout the day. But on the days after, he came to ask for forgiveness, to say that he's sorry, that he wished he could have joined me, and that I understood something that they didn't. And it was a luck for a lot of people that I didn't listen and just went ahead.
I think more than luck, I think you saved a lot of lives, Nimrod. So somebody's asked a question which you touched on before, but I think this is a far-reaching question. What is your thoughts, your vision for the future of the state of Israel? Go
All
on.
I know is that the Jewish people are phenomenal, and we will probably always be in the center of the world. And I'm not just talking geographically. We are interesting. We are calling for debates. Something is really occupying and I think the state of Israel has two simple missions. Number one, to be a safe haven for Jews. Not just in terms of security, of safety, a place where you can come and you can practice your religion, you can practice your way of life, your culture, a place where you can have an autonomy to invent, to create. We are a thinking nation, we are a learning nation, and it goes it goes to places, and it's, again, it's related to the second thing that I believe that Israel needs to. It's like a playground for Judaism. It's a playground for people to come up with their best themselves, with the best version of themselves, and Israel have to allow it to people. And I have no doubt that Israel will remain democratic, free, energetic state for generations and generations.
You're certainly inspiring us. Nimrod, a question that's come up. After the devastation down south, will people actually go back to their kibbutzim to live there?
So I'm talking with people from the kibbutzim. I can say that 80% will, something like that. If it's my analysis, of course, it's not something that I know for sure, but from my talks and engagement and understanding, approximately 80% will come back. The ones that are not, it is too traumatized for them, or no one survived. But 80% will come, and I hear so many initiatives from different communities and young people to come and live in the Gaza envelope. So many. So yes, I have no doubt that this place will keep on going.
Wow. Just a moment, if there are any more questions, please put them in the chat box. Nimrod, here's a question for you. What role are you going to play? Not you necessarily personally, but initiatives when things calm down and people start going back to Be'eri, Nachalot. What are you going to be doing? What are you going to do to make a difference?
I'm not going into politics.
Okay. Not yet, Nimrod, not yet.
This is not for me, definitely not in this time. People are asking me, but it's not for me. I have a mission now, and my mission is to defend Israel and to better improve Israel's image in the world. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it with harnessing potential of young people here in Israel and in around the world. I'm doing it by working on allowing people and giving them help of how to tell their authentic stories and in a positive way. And that's what we are doing all over the world, even in the Gulf countries in Morocco. And after that, I have from now and then thoughts about moving back to the Otef Gaza, to the Gaza envelope. Not to lead, not to, just by setting an example for me, for my kids, for my family, to go and live in those beautiful and most important places in Israel.
Nimrod, can I ask your Zionistic, your passion? They call it, we call you in a way the Zionist of the 21st century. Where is this from? I mean, did you wake up one morning or is it something in your family? Is it something that you've been imbued? Where is it from?
I think it's a matter, first of all, I am not different than anyone that is here on this little box that I'm seeing. Everyone that is here is Zionist and has a passion and love for the Jewish people in Israel. By the way, I can see that in your eyes, the one that has the cameras open. I'm actually looking into your eyes right now, and this is what I see. And for me, it's a matter of education. That's how I grew up. That's what I was taught and fell in love with. Also, it's at one point I was not just educated for it, I fell in love with it. I realized that this is who I am, this is where I come from. It's all a matter of identity, and I fell in love with that with my identity.
Again, very beautifully spoken. I'm going to take you a little bit out of Israel for a moment because you have traveled a bit. Do you have any advice for the Jews living b'chutz la'aretz in the diaspora?
Yes, it will be hard for you to hear, but buy a home in Israel, so you'd have one. Yes, what I realized that anti-Semitism was an inch below surface throughout the last years, only an inch below surface, and everything explode now, everything. And when the pictures from Gaza will go out, and when the Palestinians will build more narratives and more false narratives outside, waves of anti-Semitism will hit us. That's my opinion. And yes, my suggestion is to get ready and to understand this is a real threat. We need to acknowledge it. We need to understand it. And then everyone can choose how he can, protect him, his kids, his family. I met a family in Sydney, Australia. I asked them, what are you afraid of? And they told me, from the day that we'll have to take the mezuzah off the doorstep. At this day, we will leave everything in Sydney and we'll move to Israel. And I'm really afraid from this day.
Quite a serious message. Nimrod, we've got a few more minutes. Let's move back to Israel. What can you tell us about the past couple of months? It's now 69 days. I think you may be aware, well, we had an event here in London just today where we put on show a photograph of one of our team in Israel, Sagi Dekelchen, who is now a Ben Arubah, a hostage. What are your thoughts about how things are going to unfold in Israel? We've had 69 days over the next 69 days.
This subject is really tearing my heart and ripping my heart into pieces. When I was on my way south on October 7th, I texted Sagi. Sagi and we built together the Academies for Leadership. When I built the first one in Nachal Oz, JNF called me and told me, listen, Nimrod, we are giving you a grant to start your academy, but we are giving you another beautiful present, even better than the grant. We are giving you Sagi for a couple of days. And Sagi will help you build benches and like a shade space and a balcony, and he will help you with everything that you need. And Sagi and we spent a few days ever since we got really connected. And when I was on my way south, I just texted Sagi, I'm on my way. That's it. He didn't answer at this point. There is no day that I'm not thinking about Sagi. I think about him a lot. And I pray to God that he is alive and that he will come back to us, to his family. And so does all of the other hostages.
Yeah. I'm going to share a bit of a personal thing. Of course, Sagi being one of our team in Israel, so we're in touch with his wife, and I'm going to wish, on behalf of everybody here, a very bittersweet but mazal tov, because his wife, Millie, had a baby girl only a few days ago. So she now has 3 baby girls. And she is strong, and she believes, and she asks everybody to send positive thoughts to Sagi. So Nimrod, I'm going to give, I will bring it to an end, but I'm going to give you a chance, just literally anything you want to say, a couple of sentences, whatever it is. I listened to a few recordings before now, just to familiarize myself a little bit. Who is Nimrod? And one thing that was common, that people called you a hero. And I didn't understand why, but I certainly do now. And I know that you won't take this, you won't embrace the term hero, but on a way, the lives that you've saved and the fact that you went into battle, that's what I can call it, against your commander's wishes, but ultimately it's not just the right thing to do. It was in a way the only thing to do. And again, you weren't the only one to do it, but we're talking to you. So I have to say, oh, lovely. Nice to meet you. And you can, please give him a chibuk, a hug gadol from all of us. You can be very proud of him, and we are proud of him as well. Very difficult circumstances to be proud of somebody, but you know what? He did what he had to do, and he helped save lives. So, Bemet, Nimrod, I'm saying on behalf of everybody here, and certainly on behalf of the people that you helped. Toda rabah.
Thank you very much. Toda.
If there's anything you'd like to say before we bring it to an end, over to you.
Just thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you here. And I love you, my Jew brothers, and that I hope to see you one day in the Otef Aza. Maybe drinking coffee together with Sagi and looking at projects that we have did in the past and maybe we'll do in the future. That's it.
Sagi, as they say, please God, God, let it all happen. And I want to wish sorry, what is your name?
Miriam.
Miriam. So I wish you, I wish Miriam, Kol Am Yisrael, Chanukah Sameach. I want to thank you, Nimrod. Bemet, you've been an inspiration. It has been an incredible evening. You're not going to hear everybody saying thank you, but I'm doing it on their behalf. And I just want to wish everybody, Toda rabah. I want to wish everybody a good evening and a Chanukah Sameach and Shalom Lekulam and Lekol Am Yisrael. Nimrod, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us. Miriam, Litrot.
להתראות.
Bye. And Shabbat Shalom. Toda rabah.
שלום.